Hi, folks, and welcome to the preview show delivered by FedEx Racing. I'm Vince Cellini as we approach the penultimate race before the chase, and that takes us to, well, right here, Atlanta Motor Speedway and the Abracare 500. I'm Vince Cellini, and we want to bring in from the Hall of Fame studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, TNT Pit Road reporter Marty Snider. And Marty, AMS, you know, in the past on the preview shows, we've talked about all these track changes and resurfacing, but a little comfort zone this week at AMS, is it not?
I love it. I tell you what, it's a worn-out racetrack, and that's a wonderful thing, Vince, because the tires wear off during a run. You can run all over this racetrack. Ed Clark and his guys do a fantastic job at the Speedway of making it an entertaining weekend, and it's an entertaining race. The fans love it because you never know who's going to win this race until the very end. I recall that race between Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon where they were literally sliding all over the racetrack, racing each other for the win. That's what makes AMS fun. I think it's going to be a fantastic show under the lights on Sunday night.
Yeah, how about that? A little prime time racing going on in Atlanta. Well, Carl Edwards has a lot on the line. He's a three-time winner at AMS, and he talks about the track and the unique features there, saying in effect that each lap actually presents its own challenge.
The racetrack itself is really fun to drive. It's really fast, and like you said, the tires fall off. The cars get really, really terrible to drive. I mean, you're out there sliding around 180 miles per hour. There's multiple grooves. And the neatest thing about Atlanta is it's not a really smooth surface. There's a lot of bumps, a lot of ridges, a lot of seams and things, and every lap is kind of an adventure there.
There you have it, Marty. It's the last mile and a half before the chase. So what does this mean strategy-wise as the crew chiefs enter this week? Is there anything special?
That's a great question, Vince. I think certainly if you're locked into the chase, you're going to experiment a little bit this weekend because you look at Atlanta, it's very similar to Charlotte and Texas coming up in the chase. So it's an important weekend to learn all you can as you head into the chase. I think also the crew chiefs are all talking about what's going on with Hendrick Motorsports and what do they have going on in those race cars to make them so fast. But if you're a crew chief, you're really worried about tire wear, how you manage tire wear. Do you set up your car to be good early in a run? Do you set up your car to be good at the end of a run? That's back in the game this week because tire wear certainly will be a big topic this weekend, and how good you are at the end of the run could be a big factor as to whether or not you're a car that can win the race. So I think that's on the crew chief's minds this weekend. It's not something that's as big of a part of the game in NASCAR anymore as it used to be, but it's a huge factor at AMS, and I think it's a much needed factor that we need more of in this sport. So I like that factor being a part of the race this weekend.
Yeah, good points all. And the subplot, Marty, is the fact that this wild card chase is getting crazier. I mean, at least 6 guys have a shot to get themselves in, and Kane and Busch right now are the wild cards, but anything really can happen, including getting into the mix and maybe getting into the top 10. A guy we heard from a little bit earlier, Carl Edwards. I mean, how do you see this thing shaking out?
Well, Carl and Casey Kane certainly getting a lot better, getting close to the top 10. I know Casey would love to get in the top 10 so all of his wins can count toward bonus points. What do we say going into Bristol? You cannot afford a 30th place finish or worse. Tony Stewart gets close, 27th, does not finish where he needs to. They just need to finish top 10 this weekend and just get back on the track. They'll run well at Richmond. I think Tony still should make the chase and should be fine. But that wild card shaping up to be crazy. Ryan Newman kind of took himself out with the accident at Bristol. So you're going to see if someone can knock off Kyle Busch and Casey Kane. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're looking at the 2 wild card guys we're going to have. I think we're looking at the top 10 we're going to have. I don't see much changes happening, but there's still 2 races left, and someone could get in an accident. You could get yourself in trouble. Again, the big thing, Vince, you can't finish 30th or worse. You have one of those, you take yourself out of contention.
All right, let's talk now about who we think will finish first, and let's make our picks for this week. If you don't mind, I'll proceed here. And
go.
I'm going the sentimental pick. 20 years ago, 1992 at AMS, Jeff Gordon had his first career start, and it was also the last time we saw Richard Petty in the car 43. So I think it's going to come full circle for him. He's a 5-time winner at AMS and last year winning as well, defending champion. Only a couple races left to get yourself into the mix, and I think Jeff Gordon would add some excitement there. So he's going to be my pick, Marty. I don't have any logic involved. I'm going right from the heart, man. I don't have stats. I go right from the heart.
Well, I think it's a great pick. I mean, they're going to be very strong this weekend, so I think it's great to go with Jeff. I was actually hanging out with him this week. He feels very confident about Atlanta, and they think their mile-and-a-half program has gotten obviously much better. They clearly ran well at Pocono, winning that race and ran in the top 5 the entire day. I think it's a great bet with Hendrick Motorsports this weekend. I'm going to go that same direction and go with Jimmie Johnson. I just think Right now, they have something figured out in that package to make them fast at this type of racetrack, and I think it's silly if you bet against Hendrick Motorsports this weekend. So I'm going with Jimmy Johnson, which makes our producer Jason very happy.
It does. Jason Sholin, big smile on his face right now. You can't see him, but trust us. For Marty Snider, I'm Vince Cellini. Enjoy the race in Atlanta. Labor Day weekend under the lights. It's going to be something.